Welcome, friends, to the Beaver Dam. Now, CG has been very kind to us in giving us the Rebel Trinity. We call it the Holy Rebel Trinity here in the Beaver Dam. And they've been very gracious in giving us this opportunity to use this in our rosters and help us out, because it's a great place to start for new accounts. And it's a great place to start for, people who are just finishing their Lightspeed bundles. And so it's been the talk of the town for many months, but I think they're leading into some more stuff. So everyone get your tinfoil hats ready, because we're going to jump right into the mind of CG and see what they're planning. And I'm actually excited for it. Not excited for it. Excited for it. A little bit of both. Okay, jumping in. So the Holy Trinity of Rebels, that is Leia Orana. So Leia Orana has a lot of Rebel stuff. You know, she has, the Ewoks are required for her. Things that include the beautiful Phoenix team that is now good because of Captain Rex. You know, we've got some CLS stuff. You know, great stuff. Well, if you look over here, you require, Jedi Knight Luke, which requires CLS. You need that C-3PO, which is gotten by the Ewoks. You have a lot of shared requirements. Same with going into the beautiful Jedi Master Luke. Jedi Master Luke becomes increasingly easy as you work on these other galactic legends, to the point where you're like, I only have like 4 requirements to finish by the time you get to him. And then you get to the profundity and it's like, oh, I've got like no requirements needed. Like I can just get a profundity. And so they've engineered this overall path that works really well, of working through Leia, Jabba, and JML in whichever order you want to be able to get some solid stuff in your roster. So like Lightspeed bundle people are going in for JML because all of these bottom requirements are done because of Lightspeed bundles. Going in for Jabba from like a free-to-play perspective, or Leia, as I've been doing with my free-to-play. It's very good to get into this area, because all 3 of these share some insanely good requirements. Now, with the last couple updates on Ahsoka Tano, it looks like it's fully confirmed in my eyes that they are making another Trinity. They are making another trio, another trilogy, if you will. Star Wars is full of trilogies, and this is the new one. And so we have here Ahsoka Tano, General Skywalker, Asajj Ventress. Looking at that, that's almost like it's all requirements for gas. It's almost like this is all Galactic Republic stuff. Like, yes, Night Trooper's a little bit of a offshoot, but you look at Jabba, he has Hutt Cartel versus Leia, who has like Drogon and that kind of stuff. The marquees are always going to be the non-shared requirements, or at least typically are not going to be the shared requirements. Now, what do these requirements do share with is Lord Vader and JMK. And it's looking like these are the 3 most expensive GLs. So, we've got currently Ahsoka Tano at Relic 9, Gas at Relic 8, and then we got Commander Ahsoka Tano at Relic 9. Then we have the 4 Relic 7s that are required. So already looking like a very expensive GL. Most likely that'll be all of our expensive requirements. We might get one more expensive one. I'm hoping not. Just based off of Lord Vader, we could get another. I'm really hoping not. I'm asking, please, CG, make the rest of them like Relic 5s, Relic 3s, that kind of stuff. Please. This high relic stuff is killing me. Anyways, you look at Lord Vader, and we have the Relic 8, we have a Relic 8, we have a Relic 8, and we have a Relic 8, and then we have 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Like, very expensive. I am dubbing these three galactic legends that are going to be connected. These are now the Bougie Bunch, because only those who are whaling is going to be able to afford them. So it looks like the Rebels are going to be the way that you break into the game, and then the Bougie Bunch is where you go afterwards. You go in and you start to get Cat unlocked, and you're like, oh sweet, I have Cat unlocked, time to go for JMK. And then JMK, you're like, sweet, I got JMK, now I'm going to go for Ahsoka Tano. Sweet, I have Ahsoka Tano. Okay, now it's time to go into Lord Vader. So these are the Bougie Bunch. They're all expensive Relic 8s, all that kind of fun stuff that are going to be really rough for those coming into the game. And unfortunately, JMK is not great without his Cat. And then you get Cat for him, and all of a sudden you have one of the hardest requirements for Ahsoka Tano. So the Bougie Bunch is becoming a thing, and I'm actually very excited for this. I like this idea of sharing Rex into 3s, because they started doing them into 2s originally. We had things like Lord Vader JMK. They at least share some requirements, that kind of thing. You end up with like Sith Eternal, SLKR, you know, Rey, JML. They weren't like super tied, but they were at least there. Like they have their small ties to it. But now I feel like they're taking that and kind of just making it very connected. So now it's like JML is very connected to Leia, and I love that idea of bringing into trios and making them easier to acquire, especially for us new guys, because as we get into the game and as people start out, it looks really daunting, but when you can get 3 GLs in a row, that feels much better. And so it makes a very much more stable farming path instead of a little bit here and a little bit of there, which we already do with our PPs. Passion projects are important in the game, and we're already cherry picking different farms. We don't need to do that when it comes to Galactic Legends. So I appreciate that they're kind of bringing it full circle and giving us these Bougie Bunch and the Holy Trinity. Now, there's a problem. We have an SLKR and we have a Sith Eternal. And what's the problem is there's not a trio. Now, we've talked a lot about the fact that there is another Galactic Legend probably coming next year. And based on everything that's coming out now, it's looking more and more like it's going to be a Galactic Legend Thrawn. Now, we'll see if we get anything like show-wise and that kind of thing to kind of increase that. Maybe we just get a dad bod on our original Thrawn model. Who knows? I mean, they kind of set up the precedent for it with Quan Cho, you know, Master Qui-Gon being different than Qui-Gon, even though it's the same character, and they just gave him a poncho. Like, they set the precedent for it, so they could just do whatever they wanted and like make it the same character, just give Thrawn his helmet or something. But regardless, it's looking more and more like we're going to get a Thrawn. And now I wanted to talk about this for a second because I think this is really interesting. Now, Thrawn's requirements, they could involve some fun things. AKA in the, okay, spoilers for a second. It's not huge spoilers though. Mandalorian season 3, we did see a character from the First Order, 2 of them in fact, and we could be seeing either of them, or we could be seeing a third. Those 3 people are Snoke, because next year we have the 10-year anniversary of Star Wars Episode 7. We could be seeing a Snoke lifter for SLKR. Do I think this is going to be required for, you know, for Thrawn? I don't think so, but we could be seeing that. But then again, we could be seeing Praetorian Guards coming as a marquee character to lift up the First Order, and so the Praetorian Guard would allow us to lift up the First Order and give us a requirement for Thrawn, so it'd connect the SLKR farm to the Thrawn farm, kind of like how Cat connects JMK and Ahsoka Tano, even though they're not technically requirements. Until on top of that, you know, we've got Thrawn and Imperial. You know, Imperial Remnant is going to be his faction, but he'll have those Imperials, and so he'll be able to take some of the Imperials from the Sith Eternal farm and have those as Rex for his farm. And so we'll be able to kind of see a fluctuate. I'm guessing a Relic 9 Piet in the mix. That might be a little too easy for people, so it could be someone else. You know, maybe a Relic 9 Veers. Please no. But overall, I can definitely see a Thrawn being added in right here and taking advantage of some of these things, because he's kind of stuck in the middle of that area where he's stuck between, you know, the Sith Eternal area and the SLKR area, where like he works with both kind of. You know, we see some characters like Hux's father in Mandalorian season 3, and so like we can pull some of this into the game and it'll fit fairly well in either farm. On top of that, we got things like, you know, the wonderful stuff here, just, you know, all of this Grand Admiral Thrawn, Moff Tarkin, Veers, Colonel Stark. These are all things I could definitely see being required for an Imperial Remnant GL. Additionally, I'm sure just like with these two, there's going to be some vague, like, you know, connections between this one and through Lord Vader. It's going to be the same thing with Ahsoka Tano to Thrawn. It's not going to be direct, but like we might get like, you know, Enoch required. That makes sense. Do like a Relic 8 Enoch as one of the requirements for Thrawn. But I'm very excited to see what the new Trinity is. I think it is going to be Thrawn. I think he fits in with these other three. And so we got, you know, the Holy Trinity, we got the Bougie Bunch, and then we shall see with this new group. It's going to have its own fleet too, which is very interesting. The Bougie Bunch doesn't have a fleet as of right now, but hey, maybe we're looking at perhaps like a New Republic fleet or something to fit in with them. I don't know. We'll kind of see. I guess you could consider the Negotiator, but like for instance with their, you know, Holy Rebel Trinity, they have the Profundity. With this new one, if they add in the Thrawn as we're theorizing, you're gonna have the Executor connected to them, and so you can see some connections here. I'm very, very curious what we're gonna see going forward, what trios they're gonna make, and honestly, if we're even going to have another trio, because it might be the SLKR and Rey. Maybe next year we get something with the 10-year anniversary and maybe they make a trio that direction, but no one's excited for the sequels. Everyone's excited for the new shows, even if they're bad, and everyone's excited for Thrawn because Thrawn is one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars in general. There's a reason he was an early legendary in the game. There's a reason that, you know, they brought back Timothy Zahn to write more books under Disney. It's because everyone loves Thrawn, and it was a character that they could not give up. When Dave Filoni was like, Thrawn would fit here, he was like, absolutely, because the fans love it. Even George Lucas was acknowledged it. There's very few extended universe things that George Lucas will acknowledge, but the fact that he took Coruscant, which was Timothy Zahn's idea in his books, and put it into the movies is wild. And so I definitely think there's a Thrawn coming. And I think that it just fits in to make a trio with SLKR and Sith Eternal. But we'll see. Maybe they'll fit it in somewhere else. Maybe he'll be a standalone GL like Rey. I don't think a lot of people will be happy about that, just because we like it when things are nice and cut up, so that way we can easily devour a 3GL curve and then build outwards from there. Because building into SLKR and then being like, okay, now I gotta find another path is really rough, versus building into Leia and you're like, I can go for Jabba, JML, or Profundity, and I love that. Like, that is so cool, and I love that. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on next year's GL, and whether you think another trio is coming along, and do you think Bougie Bunch is the best name for these three? I think it is. I like, with how many Relic 8s, Relic 9s that are required for these characters, I think the Bougie Bunch just fits really well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe. It helps me out, get out there more, and be able to have my guides show up on people's feeds. That's really what this is about, is getting as many people able to see our guides, so that way they can learn how to play the game, A, and B, understand the game well enough that they never have to have another roster review from me. I love giving roster reviews, but if you can figure out where you need to go and understand the game to the same level as me, I'm very happy with that. I want to make myself obsolete. So thank you guys so much for watching, and it's always great to see you guys here in the Beaver Dam.